What's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing my recap from the Showtime pay-per-view card that took place on Saturday, August 16th. It was main evented by Spence Jr. and your Ugas, unifying welterweight titles. I'm going to talk about the whole card and then get into the main event. We'll go in order. You had undefeated Cody Crowley battling veteran Josecito Lopez, and it went the way I thought it would go. Cody Crowley he's just a good natural boxer with some good skill, and he just outworked Josecito Lopez. I mean, first half of the fight, Lopez was in it. There was a lot of action. Second half of the fight, Crowley kind of figured out that Lopez couldn't really hurt him, and he put his foot on the gas pedal and just outworked him and outboxed him. So, you know, a good performance out of Crowley. Definitely the biggest of his career, and he got it on a big pay-per-view undercard, you know, so that's just only going to increase his status. I think that win put him in the top 10, so we'll discuss, you know, what could possibly be next for Crowley, but he's another name in the newly forming welterweight division. After Spence and Crawford potentially settle who's undisputed and get their fight in potentially later in the year, we're gonna have a big turnover at welterweight, and there's a lot of good young talent there. And Cody Crowley, you just throw him into the mix. I talked about Stanionis in my other video, and Radzab Butayev and Conor Benn, and Cody Crowley's just adding to that. So another new face in the top 10, a good strong performance for Crowley, getting a clean decision victory over Josecito Lopez. Lopez probably dropping out of the top 10 after that. Nothing to hang his head about, but he got outboxed, he got outclassed. You know, he hasn't really been in the mix the last year and a half to 2 years in terms of big time wins. So, you know, he'd been out of action for close to a year and a half, and, you know, he just fought a different style in Crowley, and Crowley just was better. So, good performance out of him. Next up, we saw Jose Valenzuela taking on veteran Francisco Vargas in a lightweight clash. And Valenzuela at least proved that this guy is a guy with some power, and he's ready to play at lightweight. He came in against the veteran former junior lightweight champ Francisco Vargas and blasted him right there in the first round, knocked him out cold, and now Jose Valenzuela has really thrown himself in the mix there. It doesn't really define how good he is. I don't think he's a top 10 guy for a win over Vargas, but it definitely lets everybody know that he's ready to battle. You know, look at Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz took on Francisco Vargas, I believe, last year and beat Vargas over 10 rounds impressively, but it was 10 rounds. Valenzuela knocked him out in the first, so that does, you know, give an impression. It does put him like top 15 area, but he's got to do more. But a good solid performance out of Valenzuela, knocking out Francisco Vargas, and I really hope Francisco Vargas retires after that. I mean, that was a tough knockout loss. He's been beat up, and he's definitely old now, and he just needs to hang him up. There's no sense in continuing and getting hurt. The guy gave us his all. He's a former world champion, two straight years fight of the year against Takashi Miura, and that fucking fantastic fight. That was actually on the Canelo Cotto undercard, if you want to go back and watch that. That was fucking amazing, the way he came back against Miura in an all-out war and knocked him out. And then the following year against Orlando Salido, just a knockdown, drag-out, back-and-forth draw. Great fight, and he's got nothing to hang his head about. He had a great career. But sad to see him get blasted out like that. I hope he retires. The co-feature, Isaac Cruz, or Isaac Cruz, whatever you call him, took on Yuriorkis Gamboa, the aging but still active former featherweight, unified featherweight champion, and Isaac Cruz just was on it. He came right at Gamboa and stopped him. I believe it was a 5th round stoppage or 6th round. Scored multiple knockdowns. He was just all over Gamboa, but that combination right there at the end, that left and then the overhand right, just hurt Gamboa badly. I think that's a sign that Yuriorkis Gamboa is done now. He needs to be done. He's not going to compete at a high level anymore. No injuries to blame this on, like in the Gervonta Davis fight. I mean, I thought that was legit. He fought with, you know, with a busted heel, you know, and a tendon. He fought his ass off, but he couldn't come up, and now he's just going to be a journeyman, or not a journeyman, a gatekeeper. He's going to be a gatekeeper going forward. I don't want to see Gamboa get hurt. He was a really good fighter at one point, but I think he's done now. But a good performance out of Isaac Cruz as he keeps pushing forward. He bounces back from the Gervonta Davis loss, and he pushes forward now. Called out Ryan Garcia. We'll see if that fight is possible, but a good solid performance in the co-feature of a pay-per-view undercard. So, you know, good performance from Cruz. But the main event, Errol Spence Jr., undefeated unified welterweight champion against Yordenis Ugas, the WBA champion who defeated Manny Pacquiao, ended his career. And, you know, Errol Spence just, man, what a performance. Those first couple rounds, it was kind of, you know, could have went either way. And then, you know, I thought Spence won. I thought Spence won the first 4 rounds, to be honest. I had him winning the first 4 rounds. And then Ugas, you know, he was landing punches, but he seemed to be timing Spence well in the 5th and the 6th round. And after 6, I had it 4-2, and Spence had hurt. Ugas had hurt Spence. So I'm like, okay, maybe, you know, this fight's gonna turn around in the second half. But Errol Spence, 7th round, put his foot on the gas pedal and just completely broke down and beat up Yordenis Ugas over the next 4 rounds. The 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th was just a beatdown, and Ugas was just gassed. He could not. The reason people were like, oh, he's not throwing punches, he was gassed. Errol Spence, just the work rate that Errol Spence put on Ugas's body was just impressive, and I was just so impressed with how he broke him down and stopped him in the 10th round. It was because of a closed eye, but that eye was closing the entire fight. Errol Spence really busted Yordenis Ugas up and stopped him in the 10th round, and is now the 3-belt holder. He holds the WBC, the IBF, and the WBA World Championship at welterweight now. You know, obviously we're going to discuss his what's next at the, next week, but this was a big win, and to be honest, this might have been the biggest win of his career. If you look at what he accomplished and what he is going to potentially get, which is a showdown with Bud Crawford most likely later in the year. I'm hoping that's what it is. Again, we'll discuss his what's next week, but a very, very good performance out of Errol Spence, maybe the best of his career in terms of accomplishment and being able to stop an opponent. And I was really impressed with Errol Spence. His resume is growing. He's moving back to #1 at welterweight for me following that performance. And we're going to see if the fight with Terrence Bud Crawford, the undefeated WBO champion, can be made. So that's it. That's the recap from the Showtime pay-per-view card that was headlined by Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas. That took place on Saturday, April 16th. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. I appreciate any support. And this is True Boxing. You've been in with the truth.